Hello and welcome to these semi-finals here at Grand Prix London. Just 4 players remaining, vying for the title of Grand Prix champion the weekend before the Pro Tour in Bilbao, Spain. Seth Manfield on the left of our screen, number 1 ranked in the world, first seed in this tournament. Marcelino Freeman on the other side of things, though, he's got a list that could potentially cause problems for even the best player in the world. No turn 1 drop, which is a little unusual for him, but he does manage to get a Dinosaur Hunter on turn 2, and we know that he has the potential to explode out the gates early on.
Yeah, but here come the Conquistadors. Seth Manfield managed to snag quite a few of them, and they're looking to trade early so that Seth can manage to make his way into the mid and late game, where he should be able to dominate Marcelino Freeman if he just gets the right cards. I'm not sure if Marcelino has an island in his hand, because I did see a 1 with the wind, which would be quite a nice way to get around the Conquistadors gumming up the ground. Yeah,
Marcelino very much wants to start getting damage in early and try and close this game out before any kind of late game threats come along. 3 more Legion Conquistadors in some respect aren't as scary as 1 quality removal spell for his first creature, especially if it gets enchanted.
Oh yeah. So just Seth being his usual Seth, he found 2 Conquistadors. I think he has 3. I think he has 4, but he didn't find the 4th one because he would have to discard down to hand size. So one of the disadvantages of all these Conquistadors.
And Seth saying, you can get started if you want. Marcelino Freeman already playing his island.
Yeah, I found it on top. Now a question for Marcelino. Does he want to go to the air immediately? He does. There's the 1 with the wind and a swing for 4.
I mean, playing it while Seth's tapped out, it means that Reaver Ambush no longer a factor. It means that he's going to get at least 2 points of damage in with his Dinosaur Hunter before anything comes from Seth Manfield to deal with it. We know that there's the likes of Pious Interdiction and similar from Seth Manfield's deck, but as it turns out, not on this occasion. Instead, just has to settle for pumping up the first Legion Conquistador, trying to make a race of it, and we'll see whether or not Marcelino Freeman has something to say about that.
Yeah, that has to be good news for Marcelino, because no removal on the Dinosaur Hunter means he can keep swinging for huge chunks, and he drew another island. He has a Skymarch Bloodletter, I think a Fathom Fleet border as well, that could trade. He also has a Crashing Tide, so definitely has ways to get through here. It starts off with the border, so a 3/3 that can tussle with the Vampires of Seth.
Yeah, the Fathom Fleet border, in some respects, everything that's not that Dinosaur Hunter right now is serving as a distraction just so that Marcelino can continue attacking. He's already taken Seth down to 12. Just 3 more swings and he will be able to close out this first game against the number 1 player in the world. Dusk Legion Zealot. Yes, it's costing Seth a life point, drawing him a card, not really changing too much about the clock on this game.
Yeah, the one life point is unlikely to matter. What will matter, though, is what happens in this combat. Once Seth attacks with both creatures, is Marcelino going to go for block here, or is he going to try to stay aggressive with his, not just his 4/4 but also with his 3/3? He's taking it. This is going to be a proper race here.
Yeah, this 6 damage coming through here, so it's 11-11, and another Legion Conquistador, I would guess, coming down here. No, we can do better. We do have a Skymarch Bloodletter, and that's the sort of card that does get in the way of what Marcelino Freeman's trying to achieve here.
Yeah, it's potentially a blocker for the huge Dinosaur Hunter.
Now, we know that Marcelino has quite a lot of bounce spells, but one thing that you'll note for all of the creatures that Seth Manfield has played thus far, they all have abilities that trigger upon entering the battlefield, which means that they're not necessarily the ones that Marcelino would want to bounce given a completely free choice, though ultimately he's playing a tempo game, which means to say he doesn't mind if Seth gets a long-term advantage as long as he can close the game out before that advantage really kicks in.
Yeah, but he has to be careful here. I think one of the most punishing things here for Marcelino is the fact that he was on the draw and not on the play, because I think his deck is really strong on the play. But now he's just swinging with his creatures. Looks like Seth might even take it here. The good thing for Marcelino is that now with 5 lands, he can definitely play 2 spells in the same turn. He does have the Crashing Tide, and I think I saw Shipwreck Looter as well. He might have another creature to go along with the Looter if he wants to set up 2 blockers. Look at that, Seth just taking the big hit for 7. Down to 5, actually. So we're going to see a Skymarch Blood down to 4.
All right, and 2 mana left up in addition. Here's that Shipwreck Looter, and Raid is very much active. Marcelino Freeman, he's been attacking for pretty much this entire game here.
Yeah.
Gets to draw and discard.
Yeah, finds a Grasping Scoundrel. He can get rid of it now. It's not of big use.
Just 4 more damage left for Marcelino Freeman to deal here, and it may be the moment where Seth Manfield needs to at least consider pumping the brakes, as he's the one that is behind in this race right this moment.
Yeah, tough spot, but Seth has plenty of cards in his hand, but remember the 2 of those are Legion Conquistadors, which I don't think are that likely to matter on this board state. The game should finish out within 3 or 4 turn cycles, if not sooner.
Yeah, after a relatively long quarterfinals, it looks like at least game 1 of this semifinals for Seth could be brisk indeed.
Yeah, now Marcelino doing the math here. Both players here in London because they have a Pro Tour next week in Bilbao to attend, so they thought they might get in some practice on the way. And lo and behold, they're both in the top 4 now, getting those pro points.
So Marcelino considering how bad it could be if he doesn't block.
And it could be very bad. It's actually an attack for 12 here because he has Pride of Conquerors. He just flashed it really quickly. Did he? What happened here? I think he showed the Pride of Conquerors. That should pump up both of... Oh, they're just 2 5/5s. So he's actually... he was actually short 1 damage, I think, of killing Marcelino Freeman. He's just taunting him there. Yeah. Seth Manfield.
Seth, he likes to play.
Yeah. That was interesting. He definitely did flash the Pride of Conquerors there. He would have the City's Blessing. He has exactly 10 permanents, but I think Marcelino may be talking a little bit here, and Seth getting slightly cocky there.
I mean, maybe even Marcelino was going, so let's see, if you have it, then am I dead? And Seth's like, no, I have it, you're not dead.
Okay, this is Suncrested Pterodon.
An extra flying blocker, but pretty important here.
Yeah, but that's going to get bounced with the crashing time. We'd know about that at least. Maybe if Marcelino finds another one as well.
That would be pretty impressive.
But he has to be careful now. If he does bounce the Pterodon and swings what his team is, he doesn't... Does he have lethal block? Yeah, I think he has lethal if he does. Unless there's something like a moment of triumph for Seth. Yeah, so bounces the Pterodon, swings with the team. Does Seth have something here? Slash of Talons, maybe? No! Freeman takes it home here. Game 1 for Marcelino Freeman.
All right.
That was
big swings there.
Look at Seth here, shaking his head. He knows that there's something else that he could have done there. Maybe he's disappointed with himself. He could have tried to go for the big attack and just attack with everything, have Pride of Conquerors to pump up the team. I think in that way Marcelino would have blocked a little differently, but I think Seth was just thinking that he needs to deploy the Pterodon to block the one with the wind, the Dinosaur Hunter, even though it's not that great of a blocker, of course, because it can hunt dinos flying or ground. Oh, but that was a tense game and really fast too.
Yeah, I think that we're likely to see this entire series between these two play out in a similar sort of fashion. Not necessarily with the same player winning all the games, but you know what? This is going to be all about, can Marcelino Freeman assemble a quick attack force and how much damage can he get in before Seth Manfield gets up to the amount of lands where he can start deploying his bigger threats?
Yeah, I think the key point in this game was... just the fact that Seth never drew any removal spells. Like, basically all of
Of course, yeah, a Pious Interdiction at any point.
Yeah, exactly. Or Divine Verdict. Any cards like this would have completely changed the game because Marcelino's whole game plan was just revolving around the one with the wind. It just shows you how good the card is. We've been talking all weekend about the value of something like Stormfleet Sprinters and Mistcloak Heralds, picking up auras and just swinging for large amounts of damage. And Marcelino Freeman just showed us that one with the win, it's still as good as advertised.
Absolutely it is, yeah. And we see the Stormfleet Sprinter that was a feature in some of the other decks that we've seen in our feature match area. If you do get a chance, there are so many drafts that we've gone through over the course of today. In total, 10 drafts that we got to sit on the shoulder of the drafter and get a look through. So if you're looking to get a feel for how this Rival of Ixalan draft format goes, we have so much for you. Go and check on the VODs. Go and check on when things get uploaded to be watched more permanently, because there's been a lot to learn this weekend.
Yeah, I'm already, since I don't think I'm casting the finals, I'm already give you a Big Z's thoughts here. Basically, what we have seen very little of is dinosaurs in general in the feature match area. Steve Rubin is still very much alive in this top 8 with his red-green dinosaur deck, of course. But in general, we've seen few dino decks winning, which is quite unfortunate.
There's the Polyraptor.
Yeah, that Steve actually has in his deck. So in general, dinosaurs I don't think are that well placed. White black seems solid. Merfolk seems solid as well, and we've seen some of the Pirates deck be quite good. I was actually about to say that blue black I think is one of the worst combinations that you can draft in general, but Marcelino Freeman's just proving me wrong with his run with the blue black. I would call it the Grasping Scoundrel deck.
Yeah, because when we're talking about the deck that Marcelino has drafted, I think that it is reductive to start talking about it in terms of creature type synergies or even color combinations. It's really about the 1-2 punch of make an aggressive 1-drop, do something to make it scarier. And in this case, it happens to be a blue-black deck, but we've seen red-black decks that are working on very similar axis, and the game plan is similar, even if it works out that the colors are different. And I think it's just worth being aware of the fact that that game plan is a real player in this Rivals of Ixalan format. Yeah,
and it's the same thing for blue-red. In general, when you're drafting pirates, you can be either any of the 3 color combinations, so blue-red, blue-black, or black-red. You can also run 3 colors pirates, like we know that Alexander Kreutz actually has, and on the other side of this bracket, facing off against Steve Rubin. But usually, like, you struggle a little bit the mana, and because pirates are an aggressive archetype, it can go wrong a lot of times. But sometimes it can work. We've seen Steve Rubin actually went 2-1 with a very nice 3-color pirates deck. But usually just want to be 2 colors, and it doesn't matter too much which color it is, as long as you have a very clear game plan. I think this is a good thing that Marcelino, that traditionally blue-black could be considered a little slower, but he just tried to build it aggressive when the cards were available.
Yeah, and it's interesting that at this table it doesn't seem like Merfolk were a factor in the slightest. He's got a lot of bounce spells that would be at their best if you were working with a Merfolk plan, but you know what? They're absolutely fine even if you're just clearing a path for your pirates to get through.
Yeah, I mean, there we saw when we were watching the drafts, there was a River Hell's Wound they came around with like 5 or 6 cards in the pack. Just no one wanted it because it just probably in the first couple of packs, no one managed to put together a solid Merfolk deck.
Yeah, one thing that we noted earlier on is that with Merfolk, when you have Rivals of Ixalan in the mix, sometimes it can be a little heavy on 4-drops. Going low to the ground, which seems so important for various of these other decks, is a little bit problematic in Merfolk with Rivals Ixalan in the mix. Seth Manfield here taking a mulligan. Wonder whether or not that was because of a straightforward lack of land or something more strategic, knowing quite the amount of pressure that he is likely to be under from Marcelino Freeman.
Yeah, and Marcelino did have an island and a swamp and also had a 1 with the wind, so if he has a creature as well to go along with it, he could be in really good shape.
Well, fully 10% of his deck is 1-mana creatures, so
fair.
There's a very real chance that Seth Manfield will find himself on the wrong side of a 4-3 flying pirate on attacks.
Yeah, and this is something that's also quite good about quite a thing I like about aggressive decks in this format, because I very much like being aggressive here, is that you can really punish those mulligans and those color screw openers and so on, because people sometimes trying to be really cute and fancy and all that, and they can then just get crushed by some Goblin Trailblazers and Kitesail Corsairs and whatnot.
Yeah, Grasping Scoundrels doing good work here, and there are actually a number of creatures that are very aggressively slanted, that are very good on attacks, but comparatively lackluster on blocks, and that has led to what can only be characterized as a pretty aggressive format.
There it is. Grasping Scoundrel on turn 1.
Reaching for the stars. Well,
okay.
Legion Lieutenant is very powerful.
You were talking about this. Yeah, just no shame. Yeah. And Marcelino just going to face right away, and Seth needs a removal spell here quickly, because the Scoundrel, he won't find a good blocker for it in the early turns. And I know he has Vona's Hunger in his deck.
Well, Reaver Ambush actually works against the this exact configuration, because while the Grasping Scoundrel has 4 power while attacking, the rest of the time, just a regular 3 power guy.
And no answer though on the 3 mana for Seth here. So he takes 4 more, and the scoundrels just keep on coming. A shipwreck looter as well, joining Garrison Scoundrel. He's really quickly out of the gates, and I think Marcelino also has a moment of craving in his hand. Discards a Voracious Vampire. Yep, this is Voracious Vampire. Doesn't have any buddies here, but there is a moment of craving. If Seth had kept his mana open rather than playing the Legion Lieutenant, maybe he would have been able to deal with the Scoundrel.
I don't know if you're ever winning, though, if you start going down those sorts of lines.
Yeah, you probably won't. So I still quite like the fact that he played the Legion Lieutenant in turn 2.
So we're up to 4 mana. This is the point where Seth's removal in the form of the likes of Pious Interdiction comes online, though none of that coming along here. Maybe a Divine Verdict we might see with that 4 mana open.
Well, we'll see soon enough. Is it Divine Verdict? There is. So Seth finally has the answer here. Still takes 2 more damage. And also the moment of craving was helping quite a bit there to stabilize his life total. Does he have a Conquistador to come up the ground, though? That's my question. It would be really nice alongside that Legion Lieutenant, and we know that he has 4. No.
This mana being held open every turn. Obviously, he's casting spells with it, which is lovely, but
yeah, so
1 for 1 against these cheap creatures is not an exciting place to be.
Yeah, Crashing Tide first for Marston, even though he does have the moment of craving. So he first just wants to get rid of the board. Seth Manfield, any more removal? Doesn't look like it. Takes 5, you're down to 7. And we know Marcelino still has that moment of craving ready to go once a creature comes down. Is the Sky March Bloodletter? He's stepping 3. Oh, Conquistador. All right. Does Seth have the second swamp there, so he can cast the Legion Lieutenant as well? Because the 3/3 would be much better than just the 2/2 Conquistador.
50% better, as I might say.
Yeah, indeed. Here come the vampires.
Yeah, once one Conquistador lands, beckons to all his friends and, says, "It seems pretty good. Let's all move in."
Yeah, the coast is clear, guys. You can come in.
They're like raccoons. Once you let one in.
Yeah, right.
So Seth Manfield fighting a rearguard action here against some very aggressive pirates.
All right, so let's see what Seth has up his sleeve. No, okay, so no Swamp, no Legion Lieutenant. That just clears the way. Moment of craving, away the first Conquistador. And this is going to drop Seth down to 2 after Marcelino untaps. Maybe even Captain's Hook could finish the game right off the bat. Looks like he drew something. It is a Prying Blade, actually. All right, so that's going to put Seth down to 1 here. He's also going to get a treasure. But I think he's going to sack right away. I think he has another Fathomfield border. Yeah, he does. Yeah, there it is. 3 creatures against an empty board.
Empty-handed magic for Marcelino Freeman, but it's not about what's in his hand. If anything, this is the most efficient way you can possibly win. Use every single card. Life totals 18-1 for Marcelino Freeman.
Just 2 blockers, though. Seth is not giving up, even though the writing's on the wall. And Marcelino Freeman, he's going to go into the finals of GP London here.
There's the handshake. Great work by Marcelino Freeman. My goodness, when we looked at that deck on paper, we could see that it had the potential to be something rather special, and boy, did it deliver in that semi-final.
Yes, Seth just never had a moment's peace where he could stabilize and play out his cards. Marcelino Freeman just piling on the pressure turn after that. Look at the sly smile. He knows he just beat the #1 player in the world and did so with style. 2-0. Really quick win.
And we, get, of course, because of that quick win, get a chance to jump across and see this game 1 between Alexander Kreutz and Steve Rubin.
What is
so
going on?
We have 3-color pirates on the left of our screen against red-green dinos on the other side of things. 2 Knight of the Stampede for Steve Rubin, which alongside all of those lands means that he can pretty much cast whatever he wants, whenever he wants to. But he needs to worry about the fact that there's an absolute boatload of pirates on the other side of the battlefield.
Yeah, it's just I'm trying to just wrap my head around this board state because I see a Slippery Scoundrel with the sea legs that is not attacking, and I also there's a Fathom Fleet Captain that also hadn't attacked. Actually the best pirate on the board is looking to be the Stormfleet Swashbuckler. That's on Steve Rubin's side of the board, because that's a 2/2 double striker. The Frilled Desperate hasn't attacked. I assume Steve actually played it this turn because he tapped 1 red mana, and as you can see, the dinos are heavily discounted thanks to the Knight of the Stampede.
Yeah, this a rough set of attacks for Alexander Kreutz to work his way through here. He's likely to lose a few of his crew on this one. I
mean, these blocks are looking okay. The Slippery Scoundrel would trade with with the Soul Blocker. Those bounce off each other. Dinosaur Hunter kills that. He would take 3 here due to the trample on the crested herd collar on the bottom of the screen. Yep. And Steve Rubin does have something. His last card is crash the ramparts. That makes it a 5/5 double striker, and that should be lethal. He's getting through for 5 with just the swashbuckler, plus the 2 from the Night of the Stampede, plus 1 from the herd collar. This is exactly lethal from Steve Rubin.
And Alexander Kreutz very carefully doing his math here. He's just got a land in hand, so everything out there on the table for Alexander.
Yeah, so first strike resolves first. And now Kreutz sees that, yep, he's going to have to wrap it up. Oh, Steve Rubin's deck looking nice.
Yeah, we're going to get a chance to see all of Game 2 and indeed, if needed, Game 3 in this second semi-final. Steve Rubin going up a game with the Dinos, repping the Dinos. Let's hope he didn't hear you when he said we've not seen very much of them in the feature match area. Maybe it's time to send a message. Now, before we get a chance to get onto this next game, while these guys are sideboarding, we are going to get a chance to talk briefly with Marcelino Freeman in the feature match area. Congratulations, Marcelino. That was quite the match we saw.
Thank you. The main area, to be honest, I had a very good opening. That was the main focus of the deck, and it was good. I can't say really too much about it.
It seems like your deck is designed to be all about the good openings, a very low curve and just 15 land. Was that a plan that you had going into this draft, that maybe you were looking out for this?
Not really. I really like committing like 2 pirates in triple Ixalan draft with a couple of friends back in Mexico. We saw about the Merfolks where you could commit like commit a speaker, then 1 with the wind, and it's like a free win card. But with two rivals of Ixalan boosters and Ixalan, you can't really do that anymore. However, in the first pick, I really like Crashing Wave. I think the tempo of getting a blocker out of the way and drawing a card is very good. So in the draft, I think my first pick was a blue card, a Crashing Wave. Then I tried Merfolks. And then I saw a lot of black. I saw a Forerunner, the Pirate Tutor. And then I started showing the 3/3s that are very good in this format because they sweep all the Corp 3 for down. And then I saw more Crashing Waves. I'm running 3, I think. And then in pack 3, the main idea was to get a lot of low curve and to finish the games faster. Then in the review of the second pack, I think, the review, I saw that I had like curve 3 only, a couple of 4-drops. And then in pack 3, I saw 1 with the wing wielding, like 4th pick, something like that. So I said, okay, let's commit. I mean, you saw in one of the games, if Seth had a Pierce Interdiction or something, or Walk the Plank, maybe I would lose. But the thing with this deck is that you try so hard and you open up so fast that in 4 or 5 turns you win. So they don't really have time to search for the removal. And if they search for the removal, then they don't have threats. So you can still play more threats. So that's the main focus of the deck. I'm playing 15 lands because the curve is very low. And besides, I think 15 lands it's good for this kind. If I get screwed on 2 lands for a while, it doesn't matter. However, if I float out, I will probably lose. So that's why I'm running 15.
Hi, Marcelino. It's Matej. I have a question here because actually blue-black is a color combination that we've barely seen in the feature match area, only in this tournament in general. And I actually heard some players comment that they, even if they open, for example, a Tetsimog and get past a lot of blue cards, that they don't want to get into blue-black. Were you scared of going into this particular color combination?
Yeah, I mean, the main combination, the blue-black, is not so good. It's not one of the best. I mean, red-black pirates is amazing, and blue-red is better than blue-black. However, black has a lot of low-cost creatures. In this case, the Scoundrels. One Scoundrels, for example, for 2 mana. I don't have any, but I know that a lot of black early drops are good, and I really like the Crashing Waves and the tempo, run around, and things like that. So, although I don't think blue-black pirates is really a good deck, I think anything that you can tempo with the blue cards and 1 with the wing, 1 with the wing and Crashing Wave, I think even if you get blue-white or something like that, that isn't so usual, can get there. The thing here is that I have 4 1-drops. That really hits 2, and you can start like this game now. In turn 2 you can hit 4, in turn 3 you can hit 6, something like that. So I don't really recommend the combination. This was like a Merfolk's gone bad deck, but I think it works. So
yeah, it looks good to me. So you're keeping on winning. So thank you very much. We have another semifinal to watch, and we'll see you in the finals then.
Okay, thanks.
Take care. All right, so Alexander Kreutz and Steve Rubin, they have finished their sideboarding. They're just completing their shuffling here. Kreutz does not start off with a treasure. There's no consolation prizes for losing game one.
That would be nice, though.
Yeah, an option. Like maybe if with the mulligan you also get a treasure. I'm sure that there's variations on themes there that you could figure out with your friends at home. But we're a GP now. We're going to play it straight. And Alexander Kreutz this time round, he started off on the draw for the last game, but this time round he'll get to be on the play, and it looks like quite a few lands in that opener for him.
Yeah, it's 6 lands and 1 spell.
There's almost no one spell that turns a 6-land hand into a winner, right?
There's very few. I don't know. Fatal's Looting. He kept it, though. He did keep it. And Steve Rubin has a hand with 2 drops. He just drew another land, I think. He has the Secrets of the Golden City. Okay, I can see that. Oh, look at that, another land. I think the main reason why he did keep was that he had all 3 colors of mana early, but he just did play the Secrets, but drew into another land. His hand is still atrocious, and Steve Rubin is going to try to punish him for it really fast. Yeah,
Televised Knight into that dinosaur there means that an attack for 3 on turn 3 from him. And I guess that maybe Kreutz was hoping that the Dinos deck was going to have one of its slow draws. We do know that sometimes they can have a glut of expensive creatures in hand and not really be able to deploy too much. But Steve Rubin curving out beautifully here in this second game, looking to close things out good and quick and get on to that final.
Yeah, Steve certainly is not going to be messing around. His deck is looking very sweet. No answer from Alexander Kreutz to an attack for 6. And there's more stuff coming from Steve Rubin. I think he has an Ixalan Keeper, which is a nice 2-drop to add to the board. I think he also had a Fire Cannon Blast if he manages to draw his second mountain. Yeah, and look at that, a Hardy Veteran as well. No, he goes for the Stormface Swashbuckler. Look at that, 8 permanents on turn 4. He can ascend next turn already.
If he ascends next turn, then I really don't see Alexander Kreutz ever winning this game.
Yeah.
As things stand, he's already very, very much on the back foot.
Yeah, Alexander Kreutz actually has a Prosperous Pirates, which has nice numbers against this board, but I think Alexander Kreutz is basically almost dead here because he might have to deal with the Swashbuckler and trade there. He's gonna take 8 with the Frilled Death Spitter on the board, and I haven't even started thinking about what Steve Rubin can have in his hand.
Yeah, this is going to get messy real fast there. He's got a Hunt the Weak, which currently, weirdly, does not match up very well against the creatures on Kreutz's side of the board. But just needs to find 1 permanent somewhere here. 9 now. Any permanent that he can cast with that 5 mana will be enough to get the City's Blessing.
Yeah, Steve now has to think. He could get the Prosperous Pirates off the board if he really wanted to, but it would come at the cost of his Frilled Death Spitter. And I think he might just go for it here. That would put Alexander down to 9, and there will be a swing, though only for 6 because he would lose the dinosaur. So down to 3 could be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that if you're Steve Rubin, you'll have to be sitting there going, there must have been a reason why he kept this hand.
Yeah.
He's so far cast 2 spells, neither of which seem like the big exclamation point that makes you snap keep. But that's what Alexander Kreutz did.
Exactly. So I think Steve Rubin has to be careful. He doesn't have the permanent to get the City's Blessing here. Or does he? Is that a Hardy Veteran? I thought he had it in his hand. Then he kept shuffling the Hunt the Weak to the front. So I think he's going to get the City's Blessing here and swing with his team, surely. That would prompt Alexander Kreutz to trade his Prosperous Pirates for the Swashbuckler. He could block one of the other creatures as well. Okay, so he's going to go for the Hunt the Weak first.
I think I like this. Just getting the one body out the way. Yes, it hurts a little bit not getting the extra damage with Televised Knight. Yes, it hurts losing a body in the process. But at this point, Steve Rubin, he can kind of push the tempo here.
Yeah, Alexander Kreutz is going to take 2. This was a little risky against something like Sea Legs. Coming out of it, it would have been really good, and he saw it. He did see it in game 1. That would protect his Prosperous Pirates at least from the Hunt the Weak. He could at least have kept a 3/4 on the battlefield here, but it looks like this is all over Red Rover. It's just a bunch of land in Alexander Kreutz, and this is going to be a cautionary tale for all limited players. Don't keep 6 lands and a divination, especially even if you're on the play.
A game down in a GP top 4.
Yeah.
A shame that we've not been able to see more of Alexander Kreutz's deck in this second game.
He has a Warkite Marauder. That's a great pirate, and I think his 3-color pirate deck actually has some nice cards. He's going to... Oh, he has an Entrancing Melody too. He's going to have to steal something. But they're all tapped. They're not going to be help him block though. He could take the pirate.
He takes the pirate, and then he's going to get the City's Blessing as well.
Yeah. I mean, he's... it matches up perfectly. But he knows that he's going to have to then trade the Warkite Marauder for one of the other creatures of Steve's to fall down to 1. And that's if Steve can also draw a mountain just to get the Warkite Marauder out of the sky with the Fire Cannon Blast that he's had in his opening hand for a while now. Okay, goes and takes the Tilnali's Knight.
It's an interesting choice there.
Yeah, I thought he would have liked to take the other one. Okay, there's a Crushing Canopy. I think that's it anyway. That kills flyers. So he's going to take down the flyer. I don't expect Alexander Kreutz hiding something there in his hand. He just has land. He's ready to reveal them, and there they are. Steve Rubin onto the finals.
Wow, some quick games in our semi-finals here in GP London. But that does set us up. We're going to have Steve Rubin up against Marcelino Freeman in the finals. It is going to be blue-black Pirates versus red-green Dinos. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's 2 fast decks, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, both of these decks seem to have a clear plan as well, which I really like in any limited format.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued to see how those 2 plans match up against one another.
And to be fair, we've seen Steve Rubin play. He has a nice, aggressive start, and he can do a lot of things early. But he also has that Polyraptor, Forerunner of the Empire combo that we didn't get to see it, even though it apparently did happen off camera. Plus, don't forget, Marcelino's deck is full of creatures with not a lot of toughness, and Forerunner of the Empire can clean up. It's been one of the cards that people have really liked in this draft format.
Even if you're not doing the crazy over-the-top Polyraptor shenanigans, sometimes you just get to play a few dinos, deal damage to your opponent's team, and deal with those small creatures very, very easily. Very, very intrigued to see how things play. If anything, I can't imagine that the Polyraptor combo is likely to come up, because realistically, how on earth is Marcelino Freeman going to allow the game to go on long enough for that sort of thing to be a feature? But you never know.
To be fair, Steve does have double Knight of the Stampede. That can make the Polyraptor not cost 8, but 4. I know. It's a bit of a long stretch, but I think...
A boy can dream.
Yeah, a boy can dream. Plus, we saw some really good sideboard cards already. Crushing Canopy. It's going to be an MVP in this matchup. So, but I think we had an interview ready. Yeah,
let's see if we can head down to the feature match area and have a quick word with Steve Rubin before he walks into the finals of GP London. Hi there, Steve. Congratulations on that win.
Thanks.
So that looked like, I mean, the game that we saw, the second game there was pretty quick and dirty, but the first one looked like it went down, taking a little bit longer. Can you talk us through some of what happened in that first game for us?
Yeah, it was a dragged out game where I was able to resolve some pretty early Crested Horncrest and Raging Swordtooth. So I had some trampling attackers, but of course I'm playing against a deck. He has like 3 Secrets of the City and an Immortal Sun. So pretty much my goal was to try to close that game out. But I didn't have great attacks, and I had a bunch of combat tricks. But I had felt the entire game that he had the Expel to Orska, and I ended up drawing out of it by drawing multiple spells, and I kind of used my Hunt the Weak. I figured it would be fizzled, and then I had the crushing, the Crash the Ramparts, on my Double Striker to win, so it worked out pretty well.
And of course, we've heard tell that you were able to put together the special combo in your quarterfinals, getting that Polyraptor multiplied up with your Forerunner. So it looks like your deck has great things to do in the late game, but it also seems quite aggressive in the early game if you need it to be.
Yeah, it's actually funny. When I was building the deck, my first 2 packs, I kind of was planning on the ramp. I first picked the Forerunner, and then I got the Polyraptor third, so I'm like, okay, I'm right in this ramp deck. And something that happens, it's not always a good sign, but kind of when I was laying out my deck, I was like, wow, my deck's kind of aggressive. Let's cut this Pirate's Plunder for like a Jade... the 3/3 that goes +2/2, and
sure,
I kind of put in an extra 2-drop dinosaur, the 1/2 that pumps. That's not really good, but I have multiple dinosaurs that get haste if I have it in play, and it's just a good way of pushing through damage. So I kind of actually, even though I look like a red-green ramp deck, I'm more of an aggro deck just that has a Polyraptor in it. If you look at my curve, it's kind of funny. There's just no 6 and 7s, just Polyraptor up there, but the 2 Knights kind of make it a pseudo 6-drop, which is nice.
Lovely stuff. Well, you do have a final to play, and as quick as your second game was, yours was the second semi-final to finish.
Yeah.
So realistically, we could have a quick final. Best of luck to you, and we will see you in the finals.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm really curious to see Steve actually played out. It's going to be an interesting matchup, I feel like. Two archetypes we barely saw over the weekend. The red-green against blue-black. Just not very common.
We'll get a chance to find out which one of those reigns superior and ultimately hoist the trophy here in London soon enough. Do not go anywhere. We've got an electric final coming for you right after these messages.